are sharp and you might damage that seal. Don't want to do that after, you know. You can put the seals in after the fact too on both sides if you want. It's just a matter of preference. You know, I was just kind of preparing this all so that I could show you guys how it goes together, and so I kind of went through and just did it that way. I like to try to keep everything clean too if I can, and so I like to, you know, I got some engine oil and stuff on here. I'm gonna wipe it all off. Make sure I get everything. So we're gonna have a gasket that goes on this surface here. I painted this all, and as you can see, there's some. I want to make sure that this paint is off the edges of there, which I forgot to do this the other day. I taped all this off originally, so I need to grab a piece of emery cloth. So I got some emery tape here. All I'm going to do is go over it lightly. Make sure that the surface where this gasket's going to ride is just clean. So I'm just going to knock this paint off of here that I accidentally got on the edges. I'm not going to get super carried away so we don't damage the surface, but just enough to get that off of there. I want it smooth. Alright, that should work. So, we needed to get some new gaskets here out. I bought a whole set of gaskets. And it's basically this here. It says for generator gasket set, but the K91 and 90 are basically the same engine. Just some variation in them through a few years, and gave them a different title. So anyways, this is what our gasket set's going to have. Head gasket, our pan gasket. This is the gasket we need right currently. We'll have an exhaust gasket, carburetor gasket. These are for your breather cover. And then this will be for your points cover. This one here I believe was for your oil dipstick tube. If you had a dipstick tube, I think, that went on there. Possibly. Some models had it, I think, and I'm not real sure on this particular engine, but some of the bigger ones I know did. Had a similar goofy shaped gasket though. So I'm going to open this up, grab out what we need. So this is the gasket we require for this. These don't get any sealer on them. Do not use sealer on them. They're specifically designed for this application, not needing sealer. So this one fits pretty tight compared to some of them I've had in the past. But so you can see right now, if we put this on here wrong, these 4 bolt holes won't line up. They got a certain pattern that's offset to this. So I want to kind of look at that as you do it, make sure everything gets on there correct. So that's lined up like that. Now some of the bigger Kohlers now have a thick gasket and then several thin gaskets, because they actually have to set the end play at the crankshaft, which is the distance between this bearing surface and that bearing surface, so the crank can slide in and out slightly. A lot of times it's like 7, 10 thousandths, something like that, 700 to 10 grand. But it just depends. With this particular engine, it doesn't seem to be critical. Every gasket set I found only has this one thick one with it. So I'm assuming that's going to be alright. At least I hope it is. I couldn't find any real information on it, so I guess here we go, right? So I'm going to drop a little oil in this bearing while we're at it, because everything's cleaned and dried. Alright, so this is going to go on. Going to have this goes over this pin, so you just kind of line it up. This part here will line up on here just above it, so that's where that'll end up. So this one slides on fairly easy on this side. So you're going to kind of find your 4 bolt holes lined up and then press it the rest of the way on, and it should fit fairly well. This one looks like it's gaskets fitting really well and everything, so that's a plus. Get a little nervous with some of these gasket kits because they're not, you know, original, and some of them I found they work good but they don't always fit great. I've had to trim a few in the past on different applications, and you can make them work usually. They're usually pretty darn close. So we're gonna have these 4 bolts here that'll have to go in to hold this side plate in. So those will be a 1/4 20. They're a little short feller. I've got mine all out here already cleaned up. I pre-cleaned all my bolts. Should be 4 of them that are the same length. So they're going to be about like this. They're going to go in each one of these. Make sure you hand start everything. And I highly suggest not to use powered tools putting it back together. Even though it's cast iron, these parts here are aluminum. You start reefing them down and you don't torque them correctly and just go, oh, that's good enough. You can damage the part, warp it, cause yourself more headaches than it's really worth, and end up with oil leaks. And honestly, if you're going to spend the time to do it, the oil leaks are not something I look forward to trying to fix again after I've already fixed stuff. So try to avoid that. So I'm just going to use my 1/4 inch drive ratchet socket extension here, snug them up. Not going to get carried away. These don't use a ton of torque compared to other bolts, so I'm just going to, like I said, snug them up for now. We're going to switch over to our torque wrench. We need to do these at, let me think here, about 70 inch-pounds. So I'm going to readjust my torque wrench back to 70. I'm actually going to do these at about 78 to 80 because they were used. And all these parts are used other than the gaskets are new. But let's see, there's 100. There's, this thing's getting hard to read. Got a few hours on her. So that's 70 right there. So we're gonna go about 78. I'm gonna add just a little bit to her as they're used. So you're gonna want to do these here, 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 here. I will not take them full torque the first time around. So I'm going to snug these up, and then when they start, kind of feel, oh, that one came quick, so I was pretty close already there. But you don't typically want to just torque one down and then go to the other 4 if they're super loose. Simply being is you torque one side, and then this one's not snug already. What's going to happen is that plate's going to go like this on there possibly, and then when you do torque this over here and over here, it may not draw the plate down perfectly, and it might be distorted in the shape and never seal good. So you always want to do like a pattern, cross. It doesn't matter if you start here, go here, or start here, go here. Just make sure you go across from each other when you do your pattern. And like I said, when I did it with the 1/4 inch drive, I just snugged them all up kind of evenly to feel, and then go back and check them with the torque. So then I'm going to go back and I double check everything that I torque. So I've already got them torqued once, so I'm going to set this up here. We're going to do it again. That one's there. That one. That one's good. And that one's good. So we are good on that. So that's all complete. So we should be good now. We've got pretty much everything assembled on the outside here other than the pan. So we're going to go down here and do the oil pan next. So before I put this oil pan on, I'm going to tilt this engine, put some oil, just run it into the bearings on each side. Like I said, I don't like assembling stuff dry, so I'm going to lube up all the parts inside there a little bit. Just dribble it in there. Just kind of coat everything. You don't have to put a ton, just enough to kind of give some lubrication, so when you first get ready to fire this thing up, hopefully everything's not dry. So we should be good there. Now we're going to put the oil pan on. So take the paper towel again, get the oil off the surface where I've spilt a little. Make sure everything's kind of clean. You want to make sure it's clean, of course, but make sure it's dry so we get a good seal point. We need our oil pan gasket, which is going to be this one. That's going to go on there only one direction. So we have a distance difference. If you flip this over,